Tower Defense Simulator is one of the most iconic games on Roblox, and over years of updates, introducing new towers, events, and zombies, the game has changed massively. Yet TDS is also strange in a way. It's a game where a massive percentage of the player base claim the old version is better. I mean, that doesn't sound too wild, right? That's kinda common. But then you actually look at the old game and it's like, this is how the cowboy tower used to look. This is what the cowboy looks like now. And this is just one of many examples where the new just seems to appear better. So, if the answer seems obvious, why is the topic so controversial? Well, there's actually a little bit more to the story, and there may be more justification than first appears. I want to go through all the possibilities here to try to find an answer, starting with the most obvious one, nostalgia. This takes different forms for different people, but for me, it kind of runs through all my arguments to a greater or lesser degree. But that's like psychology and stuff. Let's look at the actual gameplay, because there are actually some things I think the old game does better. Before discussing the modes and challenges, we need to look at the models and design. Now, these were all a lot more basic back then, which could actually be seen as a positive. Even in the current day, plenty of games actively try to recreate that simpler, semi-retro type aesthetic. You also might notice that's not really me right there. Thanks to Egg Cryptid, Jordan State, John Roblox, and Wikia Colors, as I used some of their old gameplay footage in this video, which really helps showcase that old Roblox vibe TDS kinda had. Blocky characters, simple UI, that classic Roblox smile. Even when models got more complex, it still had a very coherent and simple charm to it. Plus, this was an actual advantage for development. If, back in say early 2020, the devs wanted to make a cosmetic skin for a tower like the Wraith Minigunner, where it takes on an entirely different weapon animation and armor design, it was doable. Yeah, it would take some time to design, but the final product could be that little bit more unique, while still fitting in with the game's vibe. Whereas nowadays, look at this Accelerator model. He has more detail on his energy pack than the entirety of that Minigunner skin. Before, you had the untextured Roblox bodies and some parts layered over top. Now, you have the gun, the hood, the body armor, the torso, the straps, the boots, the caution striping, the unique face, backpack, the animations. All of which mean, if you want to make like a specially designed skin for this tower, things are going to become a fair bit trickier. Especially considering there's like 200 skins in the game. Now, skins are technically just cosmetics, but they're still a major part of the game's grind, and over time I think it's clear that while the general quality has improved massively, there's been an exponential decrease in variance, and those extravagant designs are really only common in a few specialty towers, while others, like that Wraith Minigunner skin from before, have lost a lot of personality. Like, take the old DJ tower, it used to look like this, and then with the Neon Wraith skin, it would gain an entirely new mixing station and a new stage. This is my favorite skin back then by far. Whereas nowadays, with this tower having been redesigned, this skin has become the default model with different textures. Now that is the most egregious example, but you can see similar comparisons with many of these cosmetics, as it seems like the developers just couldn't keep up over time. And rather than remaking all the extra props and weapons to fit with new quality standards, they streamlined the concepts for the majority of skins to focus on making just a few really advanced versions. So yeah, I think that's one argument for something done better by the older game, as obviously the unit mechanics back then were all much simpler, and they had to have been, to allow for the insane run they hit in 2019. For context, in these 3.5 years, TDS has added 13 new towers. In only the second half of 2019 alone, they added 19 towers, including Freezer, Hunter, Ace Pilot, Medic, Shotgunner, Military Base, Rocketeer, Crook Boss, DJ, Outlaw, Cowboy, Turret, Mortar, Gladiator, Commando, Slasher, Frostblaster, Archer, and Sentry, which would not at all be achievable with the current quality standards, but it reflects a bit of an old TDS characteristic, being ambition. The older version of the game had a ton of features that just aren't in the game anymore, like PvP mode. I didn't get to play this one personally, but I think it could be a lot of fun. Platinum crates, which were fun and gave more purpose to grinding, albeit they were somewhat broken. Hidden Wave, which was a very involved secret challenge, and additional game modes like Golden or Mega Servers. There's also functional leaderboards, medals, etc., none of which are in the game anymore. Wow, is that a common TDSL? No. I think the trade-off here is that these updates weren't quite as purposeful or balanced, I guess, as they should have been. Like, there's a reason they got removed. Whereas in the current game, each update feels very deliberate, and that's probably the reason stuff doesn't get removed like that anymore. As of course, they didn't just stop making updates, as we do have plenty of features now we didn't previously. Like matchmaking, a core component of general gameplay, which is incredibly impactful. We also continue to get events, towers, and skins, plus a ton of smaller stuff, and generally way more polished menus and logic systems. But still, it doesn't quite feel the same. Maybe partially because the community doesn't know what's next. And that leads into what might be the biggest reason people prefer old TDS. The general direction the developers and community have taken. To make this make sense, you have to understand what TDS originally was. A passion project developed by a small team meant to improve upon an already released separate game. The developers interacted regularly with the community and were comfortable just chilling and chatting casually. They had not yet met TDS fans in 2023. However, I didn't actually start playing TDS until spring of 2020, so I didn't get to witness this. And I wanted another opinion about the early state of the game, so I asked Encrypted, certified TDS OG and GOAT. And he talked about that idea of TDS's progression community-wise. What made old TDS good wasn't exactly the gameplay or graphics, but what the developers were doing with the game. Constant updates, interacting with the community, showing that they cared about TDS and not only because of money. It was generally more chill than it is now. It felt like the players had a voice in their game somewhat. Not to mention all the fun events we had. I want to talk more about one part of that, the money. Looking back on TDS's history, it's clear that the game has monetized itself more and more in the recent years. Now, it all started with some official Roblox collabs. In 2019, they had the Area 51 event, which was their first kinda sponsorship with Roblox. It was really more of a weekly endorsement or like a spotlight/showcase type thing. Then there was the Egg Hunt in 2020, within which TDS officially partnered with Roblox. And from that year onwards, they started releasing these toys for certain towers, under the official Roblox branding, but these mostly flew under the radar. They then made an appearance in the official Roblox Monopoly game, as literally the cheapest property on the board, which is crazy disrespect. Yet things really started changing around 2022, as this is where the monetization picks up. I'm just gonna go through everything here. TDS started selling these plushies, and if you bought them, you got a code for an exclusive in-game skin. These cost like $30, $40 each, and they released 5 in total. They then also released this $10 Nerf gun, of course with an in-game skin, and then they released 5 more plushies, a bit cheaper this time, with more in-game rewards, now being name tags and charms. They did a collaboration with Amazon Prime to award an in-game skin. They partnered with a shaving company and made a sponsored event where you collected razors to unlock a bunch of skins. They promoted the Super Bowl in-game. They started selling in-game ad slots to promote other Roblox games, Marvel TV shows, all this random stuff. I like that one actually. They released 2 brand new game passes, one of which being 4,000 Robux. They re-released old event game passes for Sledger, Executioner, Fireworks, Archer, and Gladiator, along with the newcomers Elf Camp and Warden. They added skin crates for in-game coins like Coldfront, Ducky, Valentine's, and Vigilante, all on top of the previously existing Robux exclusive crates. They added over 50,000 coins worth of name tags, and finally, they released this. Back to school merch. In July, nonetheless. I do make videos on this game, so it'd be hypocritical to be like, wow, those money-hungry devs. And I don't think it's like purposefully insidious or anything, it's just a bit, I don't know. In older builds of TDS, in-game crates were still there, but were comparatively less grindy. Take the bunny crates from the spring 2020 event. To get all 10 skins, which the average player wasn't going for, it required roughly 15 wins on the event mode. That might seem like it should be the bad example, but I don't feel like it's too absurd, considering each game was only around 15 minutes. Whereas if you want to get the only 6 skins of the most recent 2023 crate, the Vigilante series, you would need to win 23 games on a special mode, which can take roughly 20 to 30 minutes per game. Or say if you want to complete the Ducky series starting from scratch, that would require a measly 57 special mode wins. A real 24-hour grinding challenge. Again, old TDS wasn't perfect here either. The crate that comes to mind is the Halloween 2019 set, which was definitely overpriced, but conversely, that was also the first ever crate series, so you can maybe cut them a bit of slack there. Crates in general just feel like another effect of the game's continued monetization. Even as someone who plays this game quite a bit, I had to spend real money to buy a lot of these crates, an option which is definitely being encouraged here. However, that isn't all that TDS was doing. The team also released 5 really good events in 2022. Easter, the Wastelands, the Badlands, Halloween, and Christmas, all of which introduced new mechanics and modifiers, along with the highest quality zombie and tower design yet. If these were the trade-off for that monetization, maybe you can say it was worth it. And I kind of feel like that trade-off is the essence of this debate. TDS currently is a massive game, releasing far better content than it used to. However, it's also lost some of that special charm and identity, and it was that pure enthusiasm, that ambition, releasing 19 towers in 6 months, that initially allowed TDS to gain massive numbers. As Egg pointed out, they were undeniably doing something right back then. We have a higher quality game, but that's the cost of it. That's definitely dramatic, but I think it's at least a little bit true. The original spring event with the bright grassy map and white castles, the dumb looking bunny enemies, and the final ducky boss will always be what I first think of when I imagine TDS events. I mean, it does not get much better than this hat. Finally, I asked my group for their takes, and it was a definite mixed bag. A ton of people agreed that, yeah, the older game was better, while some others offered different opinions. Take this interaction. JCat says, "For me, I joined during the 2020 Easter event like you, and it was better in my opinion. I think the old cartoony style was better, great skins as well, platinum skins, and the leaks were actually coming out." KG Games 321I replies, "You're just saying that because you miss having fun." Oh god. And I agree with both these takes. There are legitimate, tangible reasons to prefer the older version of the game. Yet, at the same time, for me at least, I think old TDS was just different. Logging in every day for that weekly premium skin, the absolutely iconic blue UI, farming medals with friends, grinding out levels for the mortar because it has the final level. Anyways, thanks for watching, like, comment, subscribe, bye!